What's good YouTube? Jaden here, dating coach, and in this video today we're going to talk about a secret so profound it took me from being a virgin, from being a guy that had zero sexual success to getting my first sexual experience. Without this secret, I would never have gotten laid in my entire life. And I'm going to discuss the secret with you today in this video because, my friends, we live in a world today that makes you believe that your lack of success, your lack of intimacy, your lack of women all comes from your bank account. You don't have any money, or you lack looks, or you lack height, or you lack status. This secret was so profound, it took a guy that was broke. I was completely broke at the time. My bank account had nothing in it. Maybe I had €5, €10. Completely broke. I still am the same height. I'm 5'7", okay? And I had no status, okay? And I'm not the best looking guy in the world. We are going to discuss the inner workings today of sex energy, because that is the secret that will take your conversations with women to that next level, which is intimacy. And as always in my videos, we're going to go into a story. I'm here to teach you how to think and how to behave and how to be through stories, because stories is the most powerful function that we have in human communication. People, men that watch this can learn so easily through stories. And so we're gonna go into the story of how I got my first sexual experience, and we're gonna talk about the myths that I believed at that time and how I was able to break through to the other side. What's up guys? Quickly before we go into the rest of the video, I have an announcement to make. I have opened a school community for how to meet beautiful women during the day. The community is growing, it's new, and it's full of people who are looking for wingmen. You can find wingmen in your city, all over the world. That's what the purpose is. You can find my infield, so you see me approaching women live. You have weekly lessons inside the school community, inside the classrooms. And also we will have weekly Q&A sessions in the future as well. And so check out the link at the top of the description. You can find the school community there. It's totally free. And so check out the link, free to join. That's all I had to say in this segment here. Let's continue the rest of the video.
Let me just show you an example of a healthy frame to come from when talking to someone you're attracted to, or when doing business, or when doing public speaking. So what you want to do at the core of generating attraction, public speaking, making sales, is the internal point of origin that you're coming from. The place of origin, everyone's will be a little bit different. Do you guys want me to share you mine, where I come from? Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna share mine, but you'd have your own way of putting it, okay? For me, it would look something like this. Here's what it looks like for me. I like to share energy with anyone and everyone, okay? Say, even though it's my point of origin, maybe you might resonate, so I'll just get you to say it back. Say, I like to share energy. I like to share energy with anyone and everyone. With anyone and everyone. Little old lady. Little old lady. Random dude. Random dude. The person who sold me a movie ticket. Person who sold me a movie ticket. Waitress. Waitress. Uber driver. Uber driver. Any fellow human being. Any fellow human being. Okay, so basically what you're doing is you're sharing energy freely. Then my next frame would be, if they're not receptive, I stop. Say that.
If they're not receptive, I stop.
Yeah, so if they're not vibing it, and you can tell that like, so in other words, say the word, it's an offering.
It's an offering.
I'm not insisting.
I'm not insisting.
And I'm not taking.
I'm not taking.
Okay, so that's like the general frame, where it's like, share a good vibe, and then be out of your head, feel where they're at, and then if that's not resonating for them, then you just say the word, have a great night.
Have a great
Just have a great night. Go, hey, have a great night. That's it. Or have a great day. Say have a great day. Have a great day. That's it.
Fundamentally, advice, like you just saw in the clip that I had provided, is good. It is good for the purpose of befriending people. It is good for the purpose of being well-liked in general. There's lots of men across the world that need that advice. But when I took that advice to my personal life, when I was 19 years old, when I was a virgin, it didn't work quite as intended. And this is what we're going to talk about today. And so, when I was 19 years old, before women, I started to work in door-to-door sales. It was my first job. I got basic training. It was like 1 hour of training. Here's what you need to say. Here's what you need to do. Okay, cool. Now you go knock on those doors. I was selling solar panels. So at the time, I didn't really know much about solar panels because they just gave me like 1 hour training. And so I thought to myself, let me just be friendly with the people and try my best. So I would knock on doors and I would be greeted by wives, husbands, kids, and so on and so forth. I would announce that I'm there because I could help them save money on energy, okay? And so I would ask to be invited in and make my presentation. Now, the first 2 months of doing door-to-door sales, I made 0 sales. 0. Not a single sale I made. However, I would very frequently be invited into apartments, invited into houses, and I would talk to the people. I would talk to the wife. I would talk to the husband. I would joke with the kids. I'd tell them funny stories. And the families, mostly it was families, would feel that I'm somebody fun or good to be around, but they wouldn't buy from me. This is key because we're gonna come back to this later on in the video. Fast forward a little bit. I would start the journey of pickup, putting myself out there. I would go to bars, I would go to nightclubs, I would go on the streets, I would talk to girls in shopping malls, I would go to the park, I would go to cafes, I would interact with women, putting myself out there to get better at meeting women and also ultimately to get rid of my virginity, right? Because I wanted a girlfriend, I wanted sex, I wanted experiences, if you understand what I'm saying. And so I'm out there in the field, and my first year of going out, my first year of putting myself out there, I didn't get laid. I didn't have a single sexual experience that entire year until the very end of the year. The very last few days of the year, I did achieve my first sexual experience. But the journey of getting there is a journey that is worth unraveling in this video today, because the secret of sex energy, the secret that is so profound that changed my life, it all is there in this 1 year. And so I would go out, I would start conversations with women, I would go on dates. I had so many dates because I would do something called an instant date. So in summer, for example, I would walk around and I would start conversations with women and I would say, hey, why don't we go for ice cream? I invite you for ice cream. Hey, why don't we go for a quick coffee? Hey, why don't we schedule in a date for tomorrow? And I got a lot of yeses from women because many women, because it was summer, they were down to have a quick coffee. They were just doing nothing, right? They were walking around in the park, or they were in a shopping mall and they had finished their, shopping, or it was a hot day. Why not have an ice cream? So I would get so many dates. I think I had like around 30 or 40 dates in just the summer. And then the rest of the year, in winter and spring and all that kind of stuff, I had a lot of planned dates where I would get women to meet up later in the week or the weekend and so on and so forth. But I didn't get laid a single time. It is here that you must pay attention. Now, towards the end of the year, I was talking to one friend of mine. He was actually helping me look for a new job. And I was telling him a story about a date. So I'd gone over to his apartment because I needed a new job and he had a way to help me get a new job. And so, meanwhile we were discussing job things, I would tell him a story about a date. And he would simply look at me, he would listen to my story, and he would say, hey Jaden, can I tell you something? And I went, yeah, you can tell me. And he went, so I'd known him for about a year. So he said, this whole year, you have gone on dates, you've gone to nightclubs, you've made out with women, I've seen you with plenty of women, but did you have sex this year? And I looked at him and I went, no, I didn't have sex this year. So he says, you're always telling me stories. Every 3 days, every weekend, you always have a new story of how you kissed a girl, how you went on a date, what you said. You're always full of stories. But your stories never have an end. You never get laid. And when he told me that, at the time I was incredibly offended. It hit me like a knife, straight into the chest. The equivalent of that is sort of like, I want you to imagine you, for example, working out. Let's say you work out for a year. So you work out for a whole year. And when you're working out, your friend says to you, you've been working out for a year. And you go, yeah. How many times a week do you work out? Yeah, like 4, 3, 5. You give him the number. And he looks at you, he's like, but bro, where are your results? You look skinny. Like, where is your transformation? What have you done? What have you achieved? Almost everyone watching this video would be broken inside. Same thing, you build a business or you're working on building a business. You work a year on it, and guess what? After a year, people say, but when are you actually gonna make money? So at the time, it hit me like a knife in my ego, in my feelings, and I was defending myself. And later on, I went home. And I remember I drew a bath. I had a big bathtub in my apartment. I was living with my parents at the time. And I was laying in the bath. As my body soaked up the warmth, I was thinking to myself, maybe he's right. Like, I haven't gotten laid this whole year. All I've been doing is just talking to women. All I've been doing is being a friendly, nice, interesting human being full of stories. And I remembered my door-to-door sales that I was working in. And I remember the beginning of that journey, of that job, where I had 0 sales. And the reason why I had 0 sales was because I didn't focus on closing.
A, B, C. A always be B, C closing. Always be closing. Always be closing.
I didn't focus on the key that takes somebody from enjoying a conversation to actually getting closed in terms of sales. And I realized in the same instant that I had just been giving conversation, jokes, laughter, and so on and so forth to women, but I hadn't put any sexual energy out there. And I also hadn't tried to close. You see, there is a myth that if you put good energy out into the world, if you talk to people, if you have this take it or leave it attitude, I'm just here to have fun, that you're gonna get stuff. But in this world, the people who get sex, intimacy, sales, they are aggressively going for the close. It is almost impossible to have an end result without going for the end. And so this sort of hit me like a truck when I was laying there in the bath. And I said, I've never really put the women in a position where they can get closed. I wasn't bringing them back home. I wasn't putting them in a sexual atmosphere, in a sexual environment. I wasn't creating sex energy in my conversations. And when it hit me like a truck, I made a decision. I made a decision to always be closing. I realized in that instance that this is what I must spend all of my energy and all of my focus on. And so I would go out and I would cut the fluff. I would cut the majority of my conversations and I would focus on only one thing. I would have only one thing in my mind. I must close. I must close. I must get a girl back home tonight or go back to her house tonight. When I'm on a date, I was thinking I must make this happen today, tonight, now, in the moment. The moment is now. I must strike while the iron is hot. And I started to close my eyes and I started to meditate every single day. I started to think about evolution. I started to think about humans. I started to think about the fact that we came from cavemen. We have evolved from cavemen. Cavemen didn't sit around and beat around the bush. They closed. But in our modern world today, it sort of lulls you into a sleep where you almost believe, or you do believe, that it's all about money and heights and looks and your bank account and the being social and being fun. But the people who are actually getting laid, who are actually making sales, who are actually really producing, being efficient, making money, doing things in the world, they're highly focused on closing. Not starting, not, continuing something, but closing. And so I took this shift and I started to go and actually focus on this in my conversations. This is both the myth and the secret. The myth is, if you're social and you're fun and you're in this good vibe, good exchange energy, that you're gonna get laid, that women are gonna flock to you, that all of a sudden you're gonna get girlfriends and so on and so forth. Well, my first year putting myself out there actually proved to me that it wasn't. If it was true, I would get laid all the time, right? But it wasn't true. And the moment that I decided to start to focus on closing, in 1 week, in 7 days, I ended up sleeping with 2 women. Just because of that one shift. Just that one shift. And that's how powerful it was. It's not a technique, it is a decision. I am here to close. I'm not here to waste my time. And for a lot of guys, here is a very key important part. I realized that I was afraid of closing. I was afraid of putting women in a sexual position, like inviting them back to my crib, putting dim lights, or on a date, getting close, going in for kisses, attempting to put myself out there sexually. I was afraid of that, and I was avoiding that, okay? Subconsciously. And a lot of you guys watching this video today, you're in that same position. You're avoiding putting sex energy out there. You are avoiding actually going for the close. But if you hang out with women and you're avoiding to close, you will always be in this limbo where you will just hang out with women and you will spend money, time, and energy, and you will get nowhere, right? And this is the key. You must be willing to close. And when you close, either one or two things are gonna happen. The woman is going to reject your advances and be like, nah, this ain't for me, and she's gonna leave, or you're gonna close. And this is what a lot of you guys watching this video today are trying to avoid. You don't want to get rejected sexually, okay? And as long as you're afraid of getting rejected sexually, you will not have a lot of sexual success. Now, that's all I wanted to say in this video today. As I mentioned previously in my video, I have a completely free online community, a school community on how to meet beautiful women during the day. So check out the link at the top of the description. You can find my community there. And if you like this video, like the goddamn video, comment down below, subscribe, and I'll see y'all, my friends, in that next video. Peace.